Hello, good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much for being here in this last MOON presentation. My name is Wardner Maia. I'm from Brazil, and I've been working as an ISP, Internet Service Provider, for a long time, and as a MikroTik trainer for more than 10 years. Our company is located in Brazil. We have an ISP, and we have about 6,000 customers in providing service with radio and fiber. We are also the distributor and training center, MikroTik Training Center. I'm very happy to be here today because this is my 10th presentation in the European MOON in a row. And today I would like to talk about an important subject, because we are facing new challenges with the new internet, with a lot of things. That's what we call Internet of Things. We are adopting IPv6 fastly, and these two things impose to us new challenges. And that's the reason that we call this presentation IoT, IPv6, and the challenges for internet security. 1 year ago in Ljubljana, in the MOON, we had a presentation about DDoS attacks. And at that time, we are particularly concerned about the attacks, the way the attacks are doing, and because the attacks will attack a lot of small organizations also, not only in power, but in number of attacks. And we discussed a lot of things about this, and our main concern at that time was about amplification attacks, about volumetric attacks, and we discussed this anatomy of an attack when an attacker has control over some infected machines and uses the amplifiers. As you know, amplifiers are misconfigured equipments, usually in the ISPs networks and the access networks, like routers, ADSL modems, like radios. That equipment can be explored in several protocols like DNS, NTP, etc. We discussed also some techniques to mitigate the attacks, and we propose one setup with 4 free source, open source tools: FastNetMon, ExaBGP, InfluxDB, and Grafana. And with these 4 open source tools, we can make a very interesting schema to fast detect and mitigate the attacks. After that presentation, we had a lot of feedback from ISPs that implemented that solution. In our ISPs, we had the solution running for more than 1 year, and believe me, it saved us, at least last year, 3 days of sleep, because automatically the attack, we have been attacked 3 days, and the solution detected and mitigate the attacks. So, 2016 was an important year in terms of security, starting in May. In Brazil, someday in May, we woke up and in the ISP mailing lists, in the ISP forums, there are a lot of complaints of ISPs and customers because 200,000, only in our region, customers were without internet because an attack in a CPE, and a radio CPE, a popular brand of radio. And it was a worm, in fact, an exploit that exploited a flaw in the HTTP, HTTPS service of that radio. And once one equipment was infected, it starts to scan the neighborhood to find other equipments and to infect the other equipment. And that's the reason that we call this a worm or a virus. And it was not only one type of this virus. There are several types. The most common only infect the radios, and in some day they reset the radios and change the default password to an ugly word here. The wireless ISPs lose the access to the radios, and the only solution is to go to the towers and to fix the problem, locally fix the problem. Some customers stayed more than 1 week without internet because of this problem. But this was not only in Brazil. In a lot of parts of the world, we saw that the same problem, the same virus, the same equipment that was infected, and a lot of people. And we don't know the exact number of the customers that stayed without internet, because mainly are small providers, small ISPs that were affected. Investigating more deeply the problem, we found that the vendor, the manufacturer of the equipment, was aware of that flaw in the HTTP service, because in a bug bounty program is a service where people can report bugs and earn some money from the vendors, from the manufacturers. And that problem was reported previously to the vendor, and the vendor fixed it, has released a firmware update to fix the problem. But he didn't told to the community, he didn't told to the customers the importance of doing that update. And on the other hand, the ISPs didn't do the upgrade, and most of the ISPs affected were not using the correct features, the correct measures to protect their networks, like to restrict the access to the equipment from some IPs, administrative IPs. They didn't have firewall rules, nothing, and then that's the problem that happens everywhere. In this case, I have to highlight the work of a Brazilian guy, Alexandre Correa, who has developed some scripts, and the scripts can be found here to look the radios to verify which radios are infected. So if anyone here uses that type of radio, can download the scripts here and check your network if it is by chance vulnerable. In July 2016, an important thing in terms of security of the internet happened, because this American journalist, Brian Krebs is a journalist who is specialized in profit-seeking hacker organizations, and he did a report. He viewed the VDoS company. The VDoS is an Israeli company. And after his report, he published a list. You can find here in this link a list of the DDoS attacked websites and who ordered the attacks. If anyone here had an attack, can search in this link. Maybe you can find your IP addresses being attacked being in this list. So after Krebs' report, 2 men were arrested and the website was taken offline. But in September, the hackers fight back and they send to Brian's blog 620 gigabits per second of DDoS attack, and for several days, And the website was hosted by Akamai. Akamai tried to withstand the attack for some days, and finally, Akamai gave up to host and kicked the blog out. Okay. Some days after, Google should program rescued the security blogger. In September and October, new big attacks happened. The biggest one was against a French company, OVF, 1 terabits per second attack. And in the US, the DIN company. DIN is a DNS company that provides service for important players like LinkedIn, like Spotify, and DIN received a lot of DDoS attacks, and most part of the US were without internet, and part of Europe was affected also. In November, routers again attacked, but this time not small providers, a big operator, Deutsche Telekom, had a big attack, a massive attack with 900,000 Germans knocked offline because of this attack. In this case, the exploit attacks the old protocol, TR-064, to the same port used by TR-069. And in fact, the attackers make the routers to download malicious software and make them part of a big network, a big boat. Is a part of a network intended to do massive attacks. The lessons learned in 2016 was no amplifiers were used, no spoofed address were used, mainly application attacks, not volumetric attacks, small bandwidth per device, but a lot of devices attacking at the same time, and a big use of the things, of the Internet of the Things. And which type of things we are talking about? We are talking about cameras, we are talking about DVRs, we are talking about routers, we are talking about wireless routers, about CPE, all the things that are part of the Internet of Things. And behind most of these attacks, the Mirai is a malware strain that slaves poorly secured IoT, Internet of Things, and make them robots for attacks. And to end 2016 with a flourish, the author of Mirai released the source code of the Mirai, and now anyone can get the source code and make his own brand, his own version of Mirai. Oh, but how powerful are the things of the Internet of Things? How many devices we are talking about? Looking in the Internet, we found different numbers for this. The Gartner Group says that in 2016, we have 6 billion devices in the Internet, and the forecast for 2020 is 20 billion devices. This other survey here, I3E Spectrum, is forecasting 50 billion devices in 2020. 20 billion or 50 billion doesn't matter, because it's a very, very huge number, much more than the world population, that's about 8 billion in 2020. So, but not only bad things in 2016, we celebrate the 20 years of the invention of IPv6 protocol, and with 10% of adoption in the final customers. It sounds like a small number, 10%, and for 20 years, but if we saw the exponential adoption of IPv6, and if we saw now, if you see now the number that's about 16% of adoption in final customers is a very important number. And another important thing was a statement on IPv6 made by IAB, that IAB expects that the IETF will stop requiring IPv4 compatibility in new or extended protocol, and advise the other standards organization to do the same. So IPv4 is becoming fastly to be an old protocol, to be part only of the history of the internet, and we are moving faster to IPv6. So these three things, IoT, the explosion of IoT, the full adoption of IPv6, and the world without net, with full connected devices, gives us a new scenario for internet and new challenges in terms of security. And as an ISP, should I care? Of course, because our customers will blame the ISPs. Our customer will not blame the manufacturer of the router, but will blame the ISP. And one survey shows that consumers would switch for ISPs for better security. So that's the reason, and the goals of this presentation are mainly three. First one, the good practices to secure the things that are under our control, under ISP control, like routers, like servers, etc. Good practice to provide a minimum of security for our customer things, respecting some principles like net neutrality, like privacy of the customer. And how to manage security implementation in large scale, how to do the things in large scale, and finally, to present some open source tools that we can use, that we are using in our own network to manage in large scale this implementation. For this, we have this agenda. We already told about introduction, motivation, and relevant facts. We'll do a reminder, a good practice to secure RouterOS equipment, some things about IPv6 protocol, about customer security, how to provide a minimum of security, and the implementation in large scale. Starting to a reminder of the good practices. I try to go very quick because this is like a checklist for security. Starting from physical security. Outside equipment or in customer premises, it is important to disable unused interface, to take care about local backups, do not leave the backups inside the boxes, do not use the local database for users, for system users, use radios instead. And if your technicians convince you that it's necessary to have a local user, because of that equipment is without radius contact, they want to access locally the router. So consider to create one, but restrict to SSH and RSA key. How to do this is very simple to do. We only generate a RSA key in a Linux machine with one command. We upload to the router, and we create a local user with restricted rights. So in this way, the technician have to have the key inside its machine and the password to every time he will use that key. And even doing this, consider a script to visit your outside boxes to change regularly, monthly, for example, that key to avoid old keys inside the boxes. About physical security, is important to remember the LCD equipment that can be accessed, and remember that the PIN code default is 1234. And if your LCD is read-only mode, the PIN code is not used, will be not used, but it's important to make sure that is read-only is in read-only. Otherwise, some attacker can have access and can reboot or reset the router. Protect Bootloader is a special package that MikroTik released recently. And the intention of this package is to provide physical security for the routers, for the configurations. In fact, for the configurations. If you don't want your configurations to be leaked, you can install this Protect Bootloader package. About layer 2 security, layer 2 is a very, very big field for attacks like MAC flooding, MNDP, CDP, DHCP starvation, VLAN hopping, etc. And there are a lot of tools that can be used to better secure layer 2, like filtering, layer 2 isolation, management protection in case of wireless. And as a reference, we have this work here presented in the Poland MOON in 2010. Remember to disable MAC server and MNDP whenever possible. And if you want these features, make sure to run in the appropriate interfaces. About wireless, it's important to provide the client isolation, unchecking this default forward, and in case of more than one card in the same equipment, in bridge card, to make the isolations with bridge filter or the horizon feature. For wireless, it is important also to use a strong authentication method like EAP-TLS and the management protection. The management protection is protect the router against the authentication attacks. It's a cool feature provided by MikroTik. It's MikroTik proprietary. About service security, remember to disable the unnecessary services, and for the running services, change the default port to any one port, and restrict to a particular IP, an administrative IP address. And can sound a little bit paranoid, but besides making this change, it's important also to make sure the firewall rules, because in fact, when you restrict a service for a particular IP, MikroTik accept the connection, and after accepting the connection, the IP is checked and the connection is dropping down. So that's a window where potentially some hacker can put inside an exploit. That's why it's important to also ensure in firewall. Thanks for Thomas Smith for this hint. About bandwidth test server, by default is enable the bandwidth test server, disable bandwidth test server, and only enable when you want to do a bandwidth test. Strong crypto, since V30, MikroTik has changed the SSH model, and we have now strong encryption algorithm and methods, and is disabled by default. You have to enable in the command line. About services, remember that there are some services that are disabled by default and must kept disabled, like UPnP, SMB, SOCKS, etc. And if you're not sure about which services your box are running, you can use Nmap and check which ports are open. About routing security, for OSPF and OSPF v3, use encryptions between the links, set interfaces where the clients are connected into passive mode, and drop protocol 89 on one interfaces, appropriate interfaces. Here are some hints in Hungary MOM about OSPF security. And about BGP, use MD5 encryption, TTL hack, filter bogon prefixes, and a lot of other things. We can more detailed work in BGP filtering of this in this work here. About MPLS VPNs, use only static routing between PE and CE. Do not give your customer access to routers, protect network against spoofing, and consider to use IPsec between the PE routers. URPF, as you know, is a feature that implements BCP38. BCP38 is for your user, do not do spoofing, not spoof its address. It can be turned on in strict mode or loose mode. Strict mode is for usually for access routers, the router who provide access, and loose mode is in routers, usually the border router where you can have asymmetric routing. You only can use loose mode. About IPv6 protocol. Let's start about IPv6 with some misconceptions. The first one is that IPv6 is more secure than IPv4 because it uses IPsec. In fact, IPsec was invented initially for IPv6 and only after was backported to IPv4. But this RFC changed the role of IPsec to optional. Before, it was a mandatory feature, but now it's optional. So you should use IPsec, but you mustn't. About scanning. Another common belief is because IPv6 is too big, the space is too big, it's impossible to do scanning, and that's right. The traditional scanning methods like sequential methods are impossible to do in IPv6, but there are other ways to scan, like these ones pointed by Fernando Gont. Fernando Gont is an Argentinian guy, specialist in IPv6 security, and these 3 articles we can see how to scan how a hacker can scan IPv6 network. And if you are inside the network, the scanning is very easy because IPv6 is strongly using multicast addresses. And you have only with a ping, you can ping all OSPF routers, JCP servers. You can find interesting services just pinging to the correct multicast address. So inside the network, it's very easy to scan particular good targets for attacks. Another belief is if my network do not use IPv6, I don't care about IPv6 security. This is a mistake because even if your network is not using IPv6, some equipments can try to do the automatic transition, and you can also, in this case, with IPv4 only, if an attacker associated in this IP make router advertisements, the devices that are IPv6 enabled can receive the IPv6 configurations, and then the IPv6 traffic can be catched by the attacker. So IPv6, some IPv6 security issues. starting to the neighbor solicitation, the neighbor discovery on IPv6. To do the neighbor discover, the host A sends a neighbor solicitation to the host B, and the host B sends a neighbor advertisement. In fact, the first one sent to a multicast address that this host is listening on. And then the hosts can communicate each other. The attack consists in to do fake neighbor advertisements, sending specific neighbor advertisement for the entire network or for a specific target. And then the host A thinks that the hacker is B and sends the traffic to them. This attack can be done in two ways. An attacker can generate a fake neighbor advertisement from B to A and a fake neighbor advertisement from A to B. So the result is, oops. The result is the man-in-the-middle attack. So, another attack can be done with DAD, duplicate address detection, because in IPv6, a host calculates an IP address, but you have to check if some other equipment can be using that address, and then he makes a neighbor solicitation to this special address here, and then if it receives somehow some response, you not use that IP address. So the attack can be done making fake neighbor advertisements and preventing these hosts to be used. About ISPv6 redirect, this works like in IPv4. This host here wants to talk to some host in this network, and the default route is this router here. He sends the packet, and this router answers with ISPv6 redirect, telling to this host to redirect the packets to this way. Of course, the attack consists in make fake ISPv6 redirects, and the result is that the traffic will divert it to the attacker. About router advertisement, in stateless auto-configuration, the routers advertise their capabilities to the network, and the hosts configure itself to use the router. The attack consists in generate fake router advertisements and making the traffic be diverted to the attacker. So this type of attack can sound theoretical, but in fact they aren't, not, because with just one command line, you can install in a Linux machine several tools to do such type of attacks, like redirect, like not only the attacks I pointed, but a lot of other attacks that are possible in IPv6 network. About IPv6 settings in RouterOS, it's important to make static configurations to disable forwards in your core routers, to disable redirects, to disable forward if you're, in case, for example, a DNS server where you don't need to redirect to forward packets. So where it's possible to disable IPv6 forward is important to disable, and where in most of the routers is important to uncheck accept the redirects and to uncheck accept router advertisements. And to follow this RFC here is important. This RFC is not is only for informational purposes that discusses the advantages and disadvantages of using linked local address inside an IPv6 network. So, with this, following this RFC, we reduce the attack surface of a router because the linked local are not published in the public the public internet. So it reduces to only the loopback address that you have to configure for this approach to work. About firewalling, it's important to do some basic sanity. Some packets have to be dropped, packed with multicast source address, multicast destination address, non-internet routable like bogon addresses, unique local addresses, etc. And these are the picture of that illegal address implemented. At the end of this presentation, I inserted the command lines to do this. It's important also to make selective ISPv6 filtering for the protocol ISPv6. Most of the material in the wiki only shows to accept all IPv6, but it's possible to make a more detailed filtering following this RFC. And these are the picture of the router. So, about customer security. About customer security, we have some topics to see here, and how to provide to the customer the security, keeping the neutrality of the network and the privacy of the customer. So, first thing we have to consider that we live in a world with net, with IPv4 and net. And net, in fact, it was not invented because of security. It's not a security feature. Net was invented to extend the IPv4 life. And, but in fact, net provides us a kind of stateful firewall where the hosts are masquerade. The hosts we hide the hosts from the public internet. So, when we have IPv6 network, other way to do the things we have to do. Like, if I don't want my devices external connected, in the IPv4 plus NAT, I do nothing, okay? In the IPv6, I have to take care with the stateless out configuration. We have to place a firewall rule, or I have to configure my devices with a unique local address that is not propagated to the internet. I have to do something to hide my hosts. And if I want my devices connected in the IPv4 plus NAT, I have to do the proper destination net rule, and in the IPv6 world, I just do nothing because my host will be globally connected. Oh, but to provide the security, what are the expectations of the customers? What does the customer expect from the ISP? A recent survey showed that the consumers want some kind of protection. And more than 1,000 customers in the US were polled, and 63% would like that the current ISP provide some solution to increase security. And 51 agreed that they would switch to another provider if they offered a higher level of an online protection. And the funny thing is that 22% have never changed the full password for the routers. So, but what is allowed to an ISP to do in the CPE device for the customer? Is allowed to drop the lower ports, is allowed to drop connections initiated out in the external world. What is about net neutrality? What about privacy? What does your country's regulation say? In our case, we have a regulation that we have to provide the neutrality of the network, and we cannot interfere in the network of the customers. So, for this reason, it's important to follow what the technical community have extensively discussed. IETF has 3 big discussions. 2 are RFCs, and this last one was expired. But I will follow mainly this RFC here. There's a simple security in IPv6 gateway. In fact, this RFC provides 50 recommendations, 5 best practice recommendations, and it recommends mainly implementation of a stateful firewall, which only allow incoming traffic if initiated inside the network. So it is like a netted network, okay? And however, this RFC imposes a transparent mode of operations for the CPEs that the users can turn on. The users can turn easily the CPE, the transparent mode, and in the CPE. And IPsec traffic is always permitted, inbound and outbound. So this generates for us these roles where we have a transparent mode ready to be enabled, connections originated inside the network, accepting the IPC traffic, and some other treatment of IPv6. And in our ISP is a work still in progress, and the existing users are being communicated about the new security features, and they could opt to stay as they are, know the full security. And silence means that security policy will be implemented, and new users will strongly advise to opt for security policies. But anytime, the users can turn off the features, enable the transparent mode at the customer portal. The user can go to the customer portal and can enable the transparent mode in our portal, and our portal automate the process of doing this in the customer CPE. So it's time to do how to do this in a large-scale environment. After we implemented all the firewall roles, we implement all the stuff, and the network is 100% okay, it sounds like it's time to relax and leave the things, but what happened all the time? Some damaged equipment is replaced on a rush to establish the service, and the technicians forget to do the appropriate configuration. Someone in the staff changed something for testing and forget to roll back. Some customer turns on the transparent mode, but he is running some kind of malware. And the manufacturer releases an important security update, like this one that MikroTik did in 638.5, fixing an important HTTP server vulnerability. So we have to rush in all the microtik box running the HTTP server, and which router can be running that service. Maybe one router that was replaced and was without the HTTP services. When it was replaced, the technician forgot to disable the HTTP service, and the router has the... So that's the reason that is important. We have some automation. We have to manage our network in an automated way. About specifically this, thank you, the MikroTik guys, for the quick fix. It was after the WikiLeaks about CIA. I have to highlight an interesting presentation that I saw in the Momo website. That was by Thomas Kimak from, I think, from Slovakia, and in the Hungary MOM, about managing 1,500 MikroTik with a single click. It's an interesting presentation. You can look in the MOM website. In fact, when we saw that presentation, we was already in the process of doing the same thing, and we implemented the same concept in our ISP, but using other tools. So you can opt to use our tools, like or like this guy here said. In our case, we use 4 open source tools, in fact, 3 open source tools and 1 free tool, not open source. ITOP, Rancid, Zabbix, and Telegram. And then I will show in general how was our implementation. About ITOP. ITOP is a free software for ITSM, Information Technology Services Management. And is a software where you can centralize all the control of your network, creating tickets, creating tickets for your technicians, and managing all the things. Zabbix is a software designed for real-time monitoring, and we can use Zabbix for a lot of monitoring applications, and we can use also to do some actions in the equipments. Rancid is, in fact, a script in Perl and in C, and Rancid was originally developed for Cisco, but some guy make an adaptation for MikroTik. And Telegram. Telegram, you know, is a mobile application, a messaging application, and we are using Telegram to receive the notifications and to take some actions with this tool. So this is the dashboard of the ITOP dashboard, where we can see all the requests that are generated for the system, how many are open, how many are closed, how many are canceled, etc. And you can see in general here. And just for instance, we select 2 events to show here. 2 events that we can classify with high priority or disaster priority. For instance, we classify a firmware upgrade, a router upgrade, as a high priority thing. And user, admin without password, with the priority disaster. So if Zabbix is configured to monitor regularly all the equipment of the network and try to log in with admin without password. Try to not only log in via Winbox, but other like SSH, Telnet, etc. And if it found some admin no password, it will automatically generate a notification, and automatically it will put a password. It logs in the equipment, find the admin without password, create a random password, and notify the technicians via Telegram. And this is the Telegram message here. Sorry. In this case, we generate a ticket. A ticket was generated, is sent to ITOP, and the back office people who will take care of the whole configuration can direct the message, direct the action to some technician here, and the technician will receive the notification and will fix the problem, creating a proper password for that equipment in this case. So a lot of other actions can be done with this setup. I'm talking about security, but not only security. All the service management can be done with this framework. Like in this case here is when a sectorial AP is with problem, is not responding, and automatically, in fact, Zabbix is doing this thing, will disable will reboot the equipment, disable the power of the 750 UP that is feeding the sectorial AP here. So in test again, and now the sectorial came up. So just to finish, I will only show I will only show some demo here with using Telegram. Well, I will use here only a demo to show the interaction. I will asking for BGP status. It shows the status of the BGP. I will look for the status of the links for the consumption. I think in capital letter. Okay, I will see this link here. So that's it. I can see the traffic online is generated. Of course, it's not related to security. It's only to show something more interesting than just lines. I will show this thing that we can do. And I have limited access to the tool here because of obvious reasons, of security reasons. So, okay, our agenda is done, and I have some references here where we use it to the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will find some extra slides with the 5 rules. And that's it. I would like to thank you, MikroTik guys. This year, we completed 10 years of official training. This is our team in Riga. I think here can be Alessandro Campanella, Patrick Schaub, Tom Smith. Tom is not here. So thank you very much, MikroTik guys, for the opportunity to be here. Okay. Thank you. Questions? Okay, thank you very much. You can email me. Oh.
Maybe Derby is open to the world as a security issue. Sorry. Maybe that Jervis bot is open to the world is a security issue to the rest of the world. I sent to now a message to Jervis, and Jervis asked to me.
This is open. Yes. This is open, but it's not that we use it. This is open, but this is not the really. This is the guys in my team set up just for a show here. But in fact, the user we are using is open to the world, but you have to have the credentials to do something there.
Okay.
Okay.
The presentation
it's a good question. It's a good observation because this is important to do.
Coming.
Thank you. I have only one question. It is not a question, it's your opinion. We saw on your presentation that is 20 years of IP version 6. And deployment of IP version 6 is still not so big like we expected. What is your opinion? Will it happen any time that we have only, for example, only IP version 6 or not? Where is the problem with IP version 6?
I disagree that IPv6 is not widely used because, in fact, today, more than 70% of the content, the content that our users access, like YouTube, Facebook, Google, are in IPv6. And if we have in our plant all the users with IPv6 in the final customer, 70% of our traffic will go through IPv6. The problem is that is in the final customer. But now, without IPv4, in all the regions, the only regional registry that has IPv4 addresses available is Afrinic. Europe, Asia, Latin America, all the
yes,
IPv4, there's no more IPv4.
Works.
So there's no
it would work.
no other way. No other way.
For example, we have in